We started farming organically at the outset of planting the vineyards. That was 2009. And then it was, I believe, 2011 where we decided to start implementing biodynamic preparations, start really drilling down, and decided to pursue certification for biodynamics as well. Typically we're in the vineyard pretty early, just assessing the weather. There's usually quite a bit of dew at that point, so we have to sort of make a call on when things are dry enough to pick. And the crew starts to arrive usually around 8. Bins are all laid out, and then we pick. Sometimes we'll pick until dark. It depends on the day. If there's rain coming in the days to follow, then it's really important that we get as much off as we can. We'll take it to the crush pad, sort the fruit, start pressing right away. So sometimes we'll be there into very early morning of the next day. So it's a full-on, it consumes your life harvest for sure. I love on a harvest morning getting the fruit bins laid out in the field and the crew's there and everyone's kind of socializing before the pick. That's one of my favorite parts. So it's the preparation for it that I find the most exciting. I've heard people say it's almost like being a pirate, like you're on a ship, and it at times feels like that for sure. Like you get little breaks to go off and see the real world, but then you're right back in it and you're fully consumed again. So we'll pick. If it's a white grape, then we press right away, and we get the juice, and the juice settles in tank for a day or two, and then the fermentation starts. So at that part, it's very important that we're monitoring constantly. So each ferment is checked at least twice a day and monitored. That takes several weeks, and since we have things that we're picking from September through to November, the fermentation period will last into the winter. So that really extends things. Our Chardonnay and Pinot Noir in particular, we are making fairly naturally. So we're not adding a whole lot of anything at all. So we're allowing the yeast and bacteria that occur naturally in the vineyard and on the grape skins to ferment the wine. So that is usually a bit slower than if you were to add a packaged commercial yeast. But we feel like what we gain in complexity makes up for the chance that it could, become stuck or give us trouble. So typically, our primary fermentation is several weeks in length, and then our malolactic fermentation takes several months. Sometimes it's not until the next summer that it actually finishes, which would be versus weeks if you were to inoculate with a packaged. So there's no sulfites at this point, so we don't add any sulfites at pressing, which would be considered fairly normal to do. So we're allowing the wine to oxidize prior to the fermentation. The idea is that you're dropping out all of those oxidized phenols to create a wine that's very stable. And I find that the wines that we make this way, I actually prefer them at a few days open and bottle. Usually on the 5th day, they've really opened up and they respond very well to oxygen. And I think that's the sign of a wine that can age. It has longevity. It's definitely a signature of the wines that we make this way. We're very proud of where we come from, and it's not easy to grow the grapes that we're growing here. We really want to showcase this beautiful home of ours.